How cute are these? We need to paint them, but it's not up to me. I'm letting my followers decide. It's your requests that will be painted on all of these. I made this post, so let's go through the ideas. Honestly, there are so much more than I thought. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to get all of them done, but hopefully we can combine a few. Okay, first up, Picasso style. That's fun. A rainbow, we can try and include that. Maybe a jungle scene and some animals. Rainbows again. Colourful land or seascape. Okay, I think that's kind of what I do normally. A fairy door on the front, then peek inside the fairy house on the back. You could do the fairies out of Sleeping Beauty with the different plant colours for them. That is the cutest idea. I don't know how I would do that. These are small. Ooh, an impressionist style aesthetic. A take on Monet's water lilies. That could be fun. Maybe like a pastel one, and then the other one is slightly Picasso style is what I'm guessing. A landscape at different times of the day. That would be really cool if the three were cohesive, but I don't think they're gonna end up cohesive looking at some of these. Abstract and bright colors, that goes with the Picasso one. A frog sitting on a snail. Oh, I love that. Oh, that could be the forest maybe. Cherry blossom falling. H.P. Lovecraft inspired works. Oh, these are very different. Mushroom characters, and make your face so the plant is the hair growing out of the head. Oh, that is such a cute idea. I think there's 3 routes to go here. We need a silly one. The Monet water lilies one, I really love the idea of that. Maybe we could try and put the cherry blossom on that one. But we've also got abstract. We've got Picasso, colors, graffiti. We want to try and fit as many requests as possible onto these plant pots. They're gonna look chaotic. One is gonna look very pretty because it's Monet inspired. The other one's gonna look kind of silly, and one is gonna look a bit bright and chaotic. But let's do it. Let's start with this abstract piece. It needs to be bold, Picasso style, and have graffiti and a rainbow in it. So I'm gonna need references. Graffiti is not something I've ever drawn before. It's a very particular style, and I haven't drawn anything Picasso in years, since like primary school. So this is a crazy one to start with. How am I gonna pull this off? Well, of course there's a portrait, even though it's a completely different style with black line work. I wrote the word bold. Obviously we needed font in there, but I couldn't think of anything else. So that's what we've got. I'm sanding this, but nothing is coming off. Honestly, I think these were all extra steps that you wouldn't need to do. These plant pots are actually from IKEA. You might have seen them in the art studio creation video, where my partner picked up all 3 of these, thinking that they would be really cool painted. But what's the medium of choice? We're using these simptap acrylic markers. Also reaching for a water and paintbrush because I think we're going to blend them out a little. There's loads of colors here, and especially some lovely muted tones, which I think is going to work for all 3 plant pots. But of course we need swatches. Make sure you always do swatches for acrylic markers. Starting off with a yellow. The theme is abstract, it's bold. I think we need to grab the brightest colors possible. The colors I would never usually reach for. So all we need to do is give the pans a shake and then press down, and look how easy these are flowing. I've actually had these markers for over half a year now. Oh, much longer than that actually. I got these in like September when we created the 5k giveaway piece that got sent to Donna. And I don't know if you remember in that, I said I'd like to do another giveaway at 8k, and that's still on track. I think I will be doing a poll, but let me know down below what you would most like to win. It could be an original, acrylic or watercolor, or it could be a bunch of prints and stickers. Since I'm currently working on creating the shop, that got halted a little bit because of the whole tariff situation and everything, but I think we're all good because everything's going to be made here in the studio. I think we're all good to continue. Now, you saw the sketch, and you also saw that I didn't include any colors. So we're doing like this bright red and the bright yellow and the bright blue. We're choosing the brightest colors possible. I know I probably should include colors when I thumbnail, but generally I do just pick up a color and go. Honestly, I'm really not fussed. As long as the sketch is correct, that's the main thing. I always look for references when I do these sketches. Unless it's for the daily doodle diary, I will not wing the sketch. But as long as the sketch is correct, it really doesn't matter what the next steps are. It doesn't matter what colors we use. As long as the anatomy is there, that is the biggest thing. For any kind of painting, really, for any kind of art, but especially if you're doing like people or a landscape, use a reference, get the sketch correct, and after that, it doesn't really matter. Have fun with it. So that's exactly what we're doing here. And I picked these acrylic markers because these are the most juicy brush nib ones that I own. I think they probably are just the most juicy ones. I mentioned before about making an ultimate art comparison video where we go over every single art supply, and I have actually filmed it. I don't know when it will be coming, but that is in the works. And in that, I'm going to be comparing all of the acrylic markers. So I hope that sounds like fun. It should definitely be helpful. I am sticking with the acrylic markers and reaching for a black for the line work. And this was a crazy move. I probably should have used fine liner because this has to be super opaque. So I'm just pressing down the bottom and blotting away any excess just to make sure that the paint is nice and juicy. It's not going to be diluted or patchy, which does happen with these markers. They are a little bit messy, but the best thing that you can do is just have a little bit of excess cloth or tissue paper, press the bottom, give it a shake to make sure that it's got a really good flow before you go. Okay, it's actually been 8 months. I just worked it out. There's a couple of developments which you'll see a little bit later on, but initially when I opened these markers, the biggest problem I had was that the white exploded. It still worked, but it exploded everywhere. But aside from that, and a couple of other issues which we'll talk about later, the ones that work really well. They're still super juicy. They are the most opaque brush pans. And in a crazy move, we are painting the leaves. I think I've seen Creator Paula do this before, so I wanted to give it a try. Very subtly. We need to let this completely dry because at the end we need to seal all of them for the final reveal. Moving on to number 2, we're going to make a pretty pastel Monet inspired piece. Hopefully. Let's get sketching. Impressionism inspired by Monet water lilies with cherry blossom falling. That's what we need to draw. And this is going to be so pretty, I can already feel. But also we're going to include the fairy from Sleeping Beauty. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that amazing idea because we're trying to fit several different requests in one. But you know what? I love the fairy. We're going to take the fairy. We're going to put the fairy in this scene with the water lilies. And ignore the rainbow because I completely forget to do that when it comes to the painting. Again, I'm sanding, adding gesso, sanding again, adding another layer of gesso, and you could probably avoid all of these steps. Honestly, even when I sanded these plant pots, like nothing came off. You really don't have to do this. They're so easy to use. If you're in IKEA and you want to paint, why don't you grab these? So first we're starting off with 2 greens, giving them a shake, pressing down the bottom, and can you see that this is not moving? This is stuck. And this is actually the second marker that this has happened to. It happened to the purple a long while ago, and unfortunately that is now a second one. It might just be clogged. I might be able to use like tweezers, remove the nib and try and unclog it myself. But especially the white one, that one seems pretty stuck because sometimes you'll be pressing down the bottom and kind of hear a little bit of a snap and you know it's all gone wrong. So I don't know if they can be saved, but that's just something to bear in mind with these sets. I've had them 8 months. Me and my partner used them a lot, but there is a chance that 1 or 2 could become stuck, become clogged. They might be able to be unclogged. They might explode at the end, but just something to bear in mind. Saying that, I've tried quite a few brush markers at this point, and these are easily the most opaque. So I do think it's still completely worth it, but just go into it knowing that you might have one or two issues with some of the pens. So I'm actually using them with the paintbrush here, adding down the details and then blending it out with a slightly damp brush. This was actually a really good idea. I've done this before, but it worked because you could add the paint, it wouldn't dry too quickly, and then you could really quickly reach for that paintbrush. If you weren't using markers, it would take much longer. Oh, I can't believe that happened. I think what happened at this point is that because all of the pens had been activated, they'd then been sat flat on the desk and it just got a little bit juicy. They're kind of supposed to be kept upright, but I guess they'd been used a lot at this point. Now the first one has crazy line work. So for this one, I didn't want to include any line work at all. I want it to be quite blurry and almost look like a painting because it is based on a painting. We've got the bridge, the water lilies, the cherry blossom falling, and a random little fairy, along with random dots on all of these leaves. Alrighty, moving on to the third plant pot. We need to encompass all of those silly ideas. Jungle themed with animals. It's gonna look crazy, it's gonna look fun. We're gonna make a mess. And I don't know how it's gonna go. Are you ready to make something completely silly? A jungle with colourful land, a sunrise with mountains, a frog on a snail, and mushroom characters. How am I gonna do this? Now the biggest struggle with this sketch is automatically I was trying to create a piece, a composition, and it was really difficult to try and make it looping, like put nothing right next to the edge because there is no edge, it goes all the way around. It was a silly thing, but I found it really hard. Again, reaching for that gesso. I don't think this is necessary. I don't think you have to do this. But since I had it in, I kind of thought, why not? Let's give this plant pot the best chance of surviving. And the sketch is looking pretty chaotic. We know we need a green because the entire background is like a jungle. It's like jungle mountains. So automatically that is colorful. As you can see by this orange, if you don't shake it enough and press the bottom enough, a completely different color can come out. That's another thing to bear in mind with these markers. Make sure to do the prep first. And we're speeding through this one because you've already seen the process. We're popping some paint down after grabbing a random color and occasionally using a paintbrush to blend out some of those lines. The sunset needs to be a bit of a gradient, which was very difficult to do. At this point though, we are speeding through. This one was so much faster than any of the others. We've got these cute little mushrooms. One's a little bit sad, and you can see this is the white that's a little bit dried up, unfortunately, but it's worse than that because it is now clogged. I press down the button, it doesn't come out, so I think these markers might need to be taken apart, see what I can do. Still, I do think they are the juiciest markers out there, and because they were so opaque, I didn't need to do that many layers. Like, this one is done, and I wanted to very subtly add something to the leaves, so we're just going for random lines down the veins, leaving that to dry, and reaching for the decoupage. This is a scary step. I was going to use varnish, couldn't find the varnish, so we just need to hope that it's not going to all go completely wrong. Leave it to dry, and it's time for the reveal. The patterns on the leaves are very simple, very subtle, and how different do these three pieces look? It's crazy. The first is bold abstract. I can see the Picasso style, and I can also see the graffiti. The second is a cute fairy in a slightly pastel color palette, and the third encompasses all of those silly things. Let me know down below which one is your favorite, and let me know if you want to see any other weird little house projects. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in a few days' time. Bye bye.